Oh, shoot.
Does this record?
I don't want them to see my pants.
Is this recording?
Yes, I think so. Oh, shit.
Wait a minute.
Oh, shit. I'm about to edit. Oh, that goes on there. Hello. Welcome to our...
Wait, you can't see anything.
This is going to be a fun way to record a live because it doesn't let me tip the camera, but that's okay. We will still be able to answer questions and you will get good, valuable information.
We're just figuring this out. Let's give us a second here. Maybe I'll scoot closer to you.
Yeah, that works. Sit on the same chair.
I'll just sit on your lap.
Okay, so in today's podcast style video, we're discussing narcissism, specifically red flags that you can look for. We're going to give a little bit of past experiences that we both had with experiencing narcissists in our life. And then at the end, we will discuss like some tips and tricks that you guys can use to not only spot them, but to potentially get out of a relationship if you feel like you're in a relationship with a narcissist, and some mindset changes that will help you stop attracting them. So anyways, this is Megan. This is my sister.
Hi, guys.
She also has a YouTube channel, which I will be posting in the description box below. But to get started today, let's discuss the difference between overt versus a covert narcissist. And the easiest way to describe this would be one is going to be the more extroverted narcissist, whereas the other one is going to be more introverted. And it's just like it sounds. The overt narcissist is going to be much more like conceited and cocky, whereas the covert narcissist is someone who's very shy, but because they're so insecure, when they're around people, at least when you get close to them, they tend to cut down and berate, is that a word? I don't know. They cut down your self-esteem. That's basically the gist of it. So let's start with Megan. Tell us a little bit about your experience with narcissists, specifically in your past, because we can connect obviously on that. We grew up together, so
Yeah.
we've had our fair share of experiences with narcissists growing up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like she was saying, we grew up with the same kind of people in our life, and a lot of them were narcissists. And I think that's why it kind of we had a negative connotation around men, because we thought all of them were narcissists, because most of the men in our life growing up and in relationships were narcissists. And you can say that there's all narcissists are bad, or everyone's a narcissist, I'm an empath. We can get on that topic in a second, but it kind of started with in the past having our dad figure. He's supposed to be our protector and the person that we look up to. We want them to protect us. And like a lot of people say, narcissists, or not narcissists, your dad is someone that you're potentially going to find in a man eventually. So seeing how our dad treated our mom, and seeing how he was a covert narcissist. So to other people, he didn't seem like a narcissist, but behind closed doors, when it kind of got close and he got close to people that knew him, it would come out more. And that was also because of his past, him seeing how his dad was and his brothers were.
Oh, yeah. All of his brothers are narcissists. I mean, hopefully they don't all watch this. They're probably going to want to come after us, but there's no shame in the game. It's just like an awareness of people's personality types.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely were all like that. He was just more of the behind the scenes type of that.
Yeah, and it was a lot of trauma that you could see, but I just kind of noticed that a lot of the traits that my dad had, I looked for in other men, because I thought that you obviously want someone like your dad because that's someone that you know and you're comfortable with. So I would look for those traits in other men, like, oh, well, they don't treat me good, nice. They don't give me compliments. They don't do nice things for me. They are toxic, all those kind of things. And I thought that was normal because that's what we saw around us. And we just didn't know what healthy was. So I would find that in other men, and I would see someone that was confident, but it was really cocky because they were traumatized and they were covering up something else. So I would see someone and I would say, oh, they've got so much confidence. I love that. And later down the road, we get in a relationship, and then it would all come out. The true colors would come out, and I would notice that they would call me out of my name and be disrespectful. They weren't honest, all those kind of things. And me being an empath in a victim mentality, I would say, oh, well, if poor me, I always get bad men, and never really dug deep until she kind of told me about all this kind of stuff. So now I see it much differently, where I see that I was attracting men like my dad because I never looked at that. So that was a big eye opener for me, and how I noticed the men that I was attracting were the men like my dad. And looking at myself from when I was getting in those relationships, I noticed where I was at mentally and spiritually, emotionally. I would attract those kind of people because I was on that wavelength, or I was looking for people that I saw that within me, because everyone has their narcissistic tendencies.
It's like trying to fix.
Yeah, I would
Trying to
always
fix
try to
other
fix.
people when really it's like a deflection. We don't want to look within, so it's like, let me do that on the outside. Let me find someone else to like
Yeah,
fix.
yeah,
But yeah, that's really cool. I think it's really cool how we can kind of like bounce off each other when it comes to experiences too, because we're actually opposites. So she's an anxious attachment style, whereas I'm an avoidant. And because of, it's just interesting that we both grew up with the same dad, yet we have completely different traumas. And for me personally, the way that I was treated, very similar to her, like I was treated in a very strict, unkind way from my dad, that I ended up chasing after men who were emotionally unavailable, who didn't, treat me good. But also I I felt like I had a tendency to avoid conflict, where she would kind of go to fix the problem, whereas for me, I would just like completely avoid it. If there was any red flag when I started to date someone, I would just run away. And it could even be a perceived red flag, like I thought someone wasn't being honest with me, and I would just drop them off, like never talk to them again, ghost them, because I was so afraid of experiencing that betrayal, the rejection, and the things that I had experienced early in my life, that I would not even let love in. So it was like a stone cold wall was over my heart, and I didn't even let anything in. And that's very common, obviously, for avoidant attachment styles. And so it's obviously very different for both of us. So I think it's really cool how we can learn from each other in those ways, because it doesn't really matter what type of parent you grew up with. Obviously, if they are narcissistic, if they have tendencies on the spectrum, then you could have a completely different experience than your siblings or whoever else is in your life. It just depends on circumstances and things like that. But another thing that she brought up is the whole concept of like a victim mentality. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, I've attracted a narcissist in my life. Like, oh, I'm a victim. I'm a damsel in distress. I'm the good one. I'm an empath. Well, the thing is, if you are fully embodied in, believing in yourself, you have self-confidence, you have self-esteem, and you know who you are, you're not going to attract narcissistic people, because they're not drawn to people like that. They're drawn to people who they know are also wounded. And I don't mean this in terms of like, oh, you're broken, but it's personality tendencies that attract each other. Because believe it or not, opposites attract, but you're also attracting based on the frequency. So even though an empath and a narcissist are different, like she said, the vibration is the same. They're both coming from a lack consciousness. And that's another thing that I want to get into in today's video, is diving deeper into this, because we hear all the time, I attract a narcissist, or this person's a narcissist and they're bad and the empath's good. But I want to kind of like break that down, because it's not true.
yeah. Very different.
Do you want to touch on that at all? Like your experience and kind of like what you learned with, because she kind of was in a very toxic relationship with a narcissist. And so she can kind of come from a very like experienced place with that. So she can kind of share a little bit of that if she would like.
Yeah. Well, I can say that being in the relationship is way different than when you get out, because you can see all the things that you didn't see in the relationship, which is, it's very common, very, very common. But yeah, so when I was in that relationship, being in the victim mentality, I would think that everything was happening to me. everything, like, I always attract bad people. I always get the shit end of the stick, or whatever that term is.
Yeah, I think that's
right.
it.
But yeah, but when I was in that, I never really saw what was really going on. I just thought that I just attract people like that, and seeing my mom go through that, where she would just get treated badly and she'd put up with it and say she was a strong woman because she put up with it. She did it for the kids, which is not true. You know, we all learn from our relationships and our situations, but I think something that I learned the most getting out of a relationship and realizing that everything is teaching me a lesson, and if I choose to learn from that and seeing the good things that came out of that, even though it could be a sad, bad situation, very toxic, I still learn from that situation, and it still to this day is one of the biggest learning lessons in my life. And just noticing how much different it is when you look at what you've gone through and the hard things that you went through, how they shaped you into how you are now, and how I can speak on that because I've been through it. I have been through a lot of things in that relationship, and I can say that I'm so traumatized. I can't trust men anymore. They're all bad. Everyone's a narcissist. Narcissists are horrible. You know, it's really not that way. It's they're traumatized just as much as we're traumatized, and accepting all of that, thinking that we aren't worthy of more and worthy of being respected, worthy of having good men or women, because women can be narcissists just as much as men can. It's just the trauma. So it's not a gender on a narcissist. But yeah, something I learned a lot was seeing how I attracted that, and me putting up with all of that was enabling behavior from the narcissist. So when I took responsibility for everything that happened, it literally took my power back. And that is the biggest thing in a relationship with a narcissist, is they take the power because you allowed them to.
Exactly.
So if you can take your power back and say, no, actually, this is me doing all this, the more I accept these people calling me out of my name, the more I accept emotional detachment and manipulation, all that, is it's going to, if you take your power away, then you're going to feel horrible. No one wants to feel powerless. So that's just something that I learned a lot, and I think it was very, very impactful for me. And I would honestly go through that again if I could have this awareness, because it changed my life that much, and I'm that much more aware. I can spot narcissists so easily. And I mean, I'm still work in progress, like everyone. We're all growing and learning. So
Yeah.
I just think I think it's really cool to learn about that kind of stuff. And obviously going through it is not fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely not fun. And it's hard sometimes. I know it's hard to get help and to reach out when you're in those situations because you don't want to. But
Yeah. Or just identifying, like you said, the key to getting out of any situation where you feel like you are a victim or you're being abused, is taking your power back. When you decide, make a decision and say, I want to take accountability for everything. That includes you deciding to be with them, to not leave them, or if you're, even like with past experiences, because she's experienced more of the abuse and the trauma in her relationships in her older life, like in, teenage years and young adulthood. Whereas for me, my trauma with men and narcissists mostly came from when I was very young. My trauma started, like physical abuse and things like that, when I was like 2. So my trauma goes way back to like early childhood, which of course affects the brain. It affects our nervous systems. It affects how we see the world, and of course how you view men and how you view women. That affects your, the way that you relate, and also like your attachment styles, of course, like I mentioned. And for me, it was also taking accountability and taking responsibility for healing that within me, because I had a lot of narcissistic tendencies when I was unhealed, because I was running away from the pain and the trauma and the things that I felt that were hurting me so deeply. And that's something that I want to get across in this video too, is have compassion for people who have narcissistic tendencies, because no one with that tendency is feeling good. They're not. They're hurting inside, they're covering pain, their true identity is extremely wounded to the point where they are unwilling to even look at it. So have compassion for them, but that doesn't mean that we put up with abuse or anything like that, because that's not self-loving. and there's the difference. But the whole point of this conversation is taking accountability for everything. And that includes past traumas. For me, it was healing my relationship with men. It was healing the way that I had been abused, healing my nervous system, going through that type of stuff because it allowed me to see the world differently. And then I show up differently in relationships. Then I can help other people go through or get through those types of traumas and heal from those types of things. But once again, it feels good when we take our power back. But, when you're first going through that and you first have to accept these things, you're going to go through a grief process. You're going to have to go through, the crying and the releasing and all that type of stuff. It's not just going to be like, oh, here's the trauma, here's all this pain, my whole life was like this, and then one day you're just like, I have taken my power back. No.
It's a process.
Healing is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. That's why you gotta be patient and compassionate with yourself.
Yeah.
Let me see if there was another.
And it's kind of hard to do that because when you're in that kind of relationship, speaking from experience, this is my opinion, whatever, but when you are in that place, you're degraded clear to the lowest. So you don't have any self-esteem. So self-love is one of the hardest things to do in that kind of situation because you don't even know what it is, really. It's really hard to build yourself back up from that, but it's the most important thing you can do. And we will touch on more things that like you can do when you are in that situation to build your self-esteem back up. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. Like people have told me when I was in that relationship, just get out then. Just get out. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you wouldn't be there.
Smart.
Should
have thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that another thing to bring up too is that anyone who is in a good place within themselves and they're genuinely confident and happy with who they are, they're not going to cut you down. They're not going to make you feel like shit about yourself. That's how you know that a narcissist, their deep wound is an injured identity because they are projecting out onto you the way they feel. So they are cutting you down. They're using manipulation or they're using these tactics that are cutting you down because they want to keep you on that same frequency as them, where they're like, I'm a piece of shit. That's what they believe deep down.
Yeah, they do.
So they want to, exactly. They're like, oh, let me make you feel that way. And of course, that's where you either love yourself or you don't, where, if you're in that type of dynamic and you're like, this person's disrespecting me, no thank you. Or if you're someone who maybe you feel like you need to fix someone, or maybe deep down you feel that way too, and so you're willing to be, in a relationship with someone like that. But it always comes back to self. Like, where in you do you feel that way? Because you wouldn't match up with someone unless you have those same tendencies or feelings within yourself.
Yeah, and you also wouldn't put up with that kind of stuff if you felt like you were worthy of a good relationship and a healthy relationship, which it's part of the process. You don't learn if you don't know, like they call it the yin yang or whatever, but
yeah,
like light and dark. If you haven't experienced dark, you don't know what the light is. And if you've never experienced the light, then it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it goes hand in hand, but it really does come down to self-love. It really does. And yeah.
What are some red flags or some like really big dead giveaways for someone that they can like identify a narcissist, or maybe they're working with one, maybe they're in a relationship with one, maybe even their family members? What are some things they can look for?
Well, you can, like you were saying, like overt narcissists where they're like overly expressive or they're just not nice at all and they just can't, like accept compliments. They can't give compliments because they feel like if they give a compliment, then it's going to take it away from them, which is not true. You can also see like disrespect. Most of the time that's because they don't respect themselves.
Yep. Manipulation
is probably the biggest one. It's kind of obvious. You know when you're being manipulated. You can feel it. It's not a good energy. It doesn't feel good. So that's probably one of the most obvious ones is manipulation. I feel like a lot of people have this. Sometimes people don't even notice. Like I can admit to that. Sometimes I find myself falling into that where I start manipulating the conversation or something and I catch myself. I'm like, whoa, I don't like that because I don't like people to do that to me. So I need to step back and why do I feel the need to manipulate
Yeah.
to get my point across or to get what I want?
It's
you know?
getting your needs met in a backdoor way instead
Yeah.
of confronting it, because once again, hello, childhood traumas. If you didn't get your needs met in childhood, you probably felt like you had to do it in a backdoor way. That's where stealing comes into play. That's where kids lying comes into play. They're trying to get their needs met. They're trying to get what they want, but they feel like they have to lie. That's the seed of manipulation, trying to get your needs met. And so have compassion for yourself. If you see, okay, I'm being manipulative, know why, understand, okay, I'm doing this because I'm trying to get my needs met. How can I do this in a much more healthy way where I can actually, ask the person, whether you're at work or we're in a relationship or whatever it is, like, this is what I want from this situation, instead of feeling like you have to go, lie about it or tell somebody else to get what you want. That's obviously not being very upfront and honest. That's doing it in a manipulative way.
Yeah, and if someone's saying that to you, you don't always have to be rude and just say, "Oh, you're such a narcissist. I just can't even have a conversation with you." That makes them kind of prove their point, and they're like, "Well, yeah, I am better than you yet." No, it's not like that. You can just say, I think something that would be a nice way to confront someone in that situation is, "Well, I see where you're coming from, but why do you feel like you need to manipulate, or why do you feel like you need to do that instead of just telling me? Like, I would prefer if you just tell me how it is. Like, don't sugarcoat." It's hard to do that because I don't like confronting people either. It's something that I'm working on, but it feels so good when you want something, you can ask for it and literally just get what you want.
Yep.
And there's nice ways to go about it in every single way. You can get what you want, but you don't have to be rude and like aggressive about it.
Yeah.
And it's really important because narcissists, because they're so traumatized and hurt, that's one of the worst things you can do to a narcissist is be not straightforward, but being very mean and confrontational. Yeah. You don't want to just go up and like stab them with the truth, because obviously they don't want to look at it, so they're not going to think about it like that. It will come as an attack to them versus a conversation. Yeah. And I've seen that
being
a lot.
Smart. Yeah, you got to be smart with your communication. But that goes for anything and everything in life. When you learn how to communicate not only your needs, your wants, but also just how to have a conversation with someone to get your desired result, like not attacking someone. If you want something from someone, you're not going to go up to them and be like, give me this. They're going to be like, what the hell, who do you think you are? But if you approach it in a way that's like, hey, I really appreciate you, I'd love it if this could happen, they're going to be like, whoa, they're way more open. So it's like the way you communicate, you're allowing someone's defenses to come down instead of like she said, attacking them. That's going to cause someone's defenses to come up. Yeah. So being smart about that in relationships is going to be helpful no matter what type of relationship you're in.
Friendships, family stuff.
Because
it's hard to confront family members too, because you love them so much, so you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to cause family drama, but it doesn't matter who it is. You still have the right to voice your opinion, and you don't deserve to be respected or disrespected. Like, everyone deserves respect, no matter who it is. If it's your family, if it's your friend, if it's your coworker, your boss, it does not matter. No one deserves to be disrespected, because we're all human beings. Like, I'm no better than the person next to me. I'm no better than my boss. We're all human beings trying to achieve the same goal. We're all trying to learn and grow and be better people. So let's help each other instead of push each other down for our traumas that sometimes we don't even know we have. So
everyone wants happiness. I mean, everyone is seeking love. No matter who it is on this planet, a killer, a rapist, like crazy person who does terrible things. Everyone is seeking love. And yeah, they may not know it consciously, but that's what people are seeking. And so when we can understand that, we can change the dynamics in, our own life and in our own relationships. And then that can, of course, spread in a positive way to the people around us. And then we can change the way that the world is, because it starts with us. Everything, comes back to how we are and how we approach life and ourselves. Let's give maybe like 3 things that people can do in terms of like practical self-love tips or things that we both used in our life that can like build people's self-esteem, build their self-confidence. So if they're in a situation like this, they can start to stand up for themselves, or if they're in a relationship, they can leave. Like, yeah, just like a couple things that people can do to build themselves up.
I did say a while ago that like something that helped me the most in that relationship that I was in, when it was pretty bad, and I had no self-esteem, I had no self-worth, I didn't even have the confidence or the energy, emotionally, physically, at all, to leave or to even confront this person, because I was so drained. I couldn't even handle another argument, because I just couldn't even. It was too much. So something that I had to do was, in the morning when I woke up for work, I would just go in the bathroom and I would look at myself in the mirror. Even it was so hard to do this. It wasn't just something that I magically just knew how to do. Like, oh, you're beautiful. I didn't believe it, so it was hard. So something that I always did was I would tell myself affirmations in the mirror, and affirmations are very powerful. So that's what I started with. I knew that was something that I didn't have a lot of education on, this kind of stuff. She was living in Texas at the time, so I didn't really have that kind of help that I needed, and the people around me didn't know either. They were all in those kind of situations, so they couldn't really give me advice. But I just started with affirmations, starting to tell myself I am worthy of having a good relationship, I'm worthy of respect, and just slowly doing those kind of things, surrounding myself with people that saw my light and how beautiful of a person I was and what I deserved in life. And they would kind of check me all the time. They were like, why are you in this? This is very unhealthy. And people can say all they want, but it's you that has to get out. You can say that all you want. You're in a toxic relationship, you need to get out. Of course, people can see it from the outside view, but when you're in it, you don't see that. You don't see it at all. So
Yeah.
affirmations helped me a lot, being around more positive people that were actually that cared for me personally as a person. That helped me a lot.
I feel like it's anything that builds you.
Yeah, anything that felt good, I
Yeah.
would try to go towards, because I just was so used to not feeling good, that anything that felt good and like raised my self-esteem, even going to the gym, that helped me so much. I would go to the gym, work out, and that just increased my endorphins, gave me serotonin and dopamine that I didn't ever have. So I would just do those kind of things because that made me feel better about myself. And then I would just start thinking like, wait, I really do deserve better. Like, I am a good person. I have big goals in life, and I deserve to be with someone that treats me good and with respect. And when I get home, I want them to love me and appreciate me for the things that, not even just like physical things or like things that I do around the house or the meals that I cook for them. It's as a person, as a human being,
Exactly.
and for my emotional self.
All parts of you.
Yeah, unconditionally, not
one
just conditional. Oh, you have a beautiful body. I love you for that. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You like my body.
Yeah, definitely. It goes deep. Like, I mean, even with her, like, doing those things and applying those things to make yourself feel good, those are great. But ultimately, it comes down to you not only like recognizing that you're worth more, but knowing when to ask for help if you need help. If you need support, if you need someone to, go see a therapist or a counselor or someone that you trust in your life to help you get out of that if it's really bad. There's a couple things that I have done personally that have really helped me. And that is like doing inner child work and inner child healing, because once again, the majority of the people walking on this planet right now are walking around with insane amounts of childhood trauma that they're completely unaware of. And if you go back and do work on your younger self, and there's plenty of ways that you can do this. Of course, you can look this up on YouTube. You can look this up on different platforms. If you follow my Instagram, I actually share a lot of these tips on Instagram about how to do this specifically. But just going back and healing those childhood wounds, like getting to the root of the problem, because that is my motto. I don't like putting Band-Aids on things. I'm not someone that's going to sugarcoat shit with you. I'm going to tell you as it is. If you are someone who's in that relationship, you need to heal the core wound. And it's most likely going to be with one or both of your parents. It's going to stem from something that happened in your past that made you feel like you weren't worthy of love, or that you didn't deserve something, you weren't, good enough, whatever it is. If you heal the root or the core of the issue, everything that in your life that was a byproduct of that is going to have to fall away. Meaning the people, if you have a shitty job that you hate, like all those things are going to naturally fall away when you heal the core. And so that's why those are the things that I teach, those are the things that I preach, because it's, in my opinion, about getting to the core. We're not like, why go around and like, you know, kind of like just play around and then never actually get to the problem. Like I don't want to do that. That's not my vibe. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing for me.
It really is true though. When you are on that vibe, you're going to attract all sorts of things: your job, how much money you're making, the friends you have, how your family treats you. You will see exactly what you're experiencing in life. And I noticed when I was in that relationship, I just never saw the light. I never saw my friendships getting better. My job never got better. I would not make as much money. And literally when I got out of the relationship, I got a new job, paid me more. I was happier. I was doing more healthy things. I got more friends. My friendships grew stronger. My family relationships grew stronger. Literally everything in my life. I started doing things that made me happy, and it's just so much different when you take your power back. You're unstoppable. Like nothing can stop you. Nothing can get in your way. When you had like a roadblock for years, it felt like you were literally running into a brick wall every single day. And when you just get over it or break it down, I don't know, hit it with a wrecking ball.
Well, you realize it's
like,
you.
Yeah, like
you're the wall.
it is you.
You put the wall there.
Yeah, and after that, I just noticed how much it changed my life just from making that one decision. That was my block. Everything opened up. Like I remember seeing clouds every single day. Felt like winter in Utah, like just dark clouds. Never this sunshine was never out. And when I broke up with this person, I saw the sun and I was like, wait, has this been here the whole time? Like, are you guys seeing this kind of stuff? Completely different, like day and night different, literally.
Yeah. So it's all about vibe. It's all about perception and your vibration. And if you're unfamiliar with what I mean by vibration, I'm talking about your energy. I'm talking about where you are sitting at in terms of your mood. How do you feel? Because if you're constantly in a place that feels like shit, you feel angry, you feel unsatisfied, you feel depressed, the things that you see in your surroundings are going to affirm that to you. You're going to see clouds, you're going to see darkness, you're going to see all these terrible things because that's where you're sitting. But then when you change your mood, you change your frequency, and all of a sudden life changes. So once again, all comes back to us prioritizing ourselves, make sure that we're taking care of us, and hopefully this video gave you guys some really good information on not only just how to deal with narcissism, but also just how to deal with yourself, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. And this video, I wanted to clarify that, mindset, the lack mindset, why it is that you attract narcissists, because we need to kind of debunk that whole, empath narcissist thing and how one's better than the other. And that's, in my opinion, that's not how it is.
I did want to say something about the empath thing because I remember being in that state where, and it still to this day is like that, where narcissist's bad and the empath's good, and empaths are just nice people that just get hurt. No. It's both. They're both traumatized in their own way. The narcissist just comes off more angry, mean, whatever, and the narcissist puts up with it, so it enables the narcissist. So in all reality, you're making the narcissist a narcissist. And I was the empath. I used to call myself the empath, but that's literally just saying, I'm a victim. I don't want to take responsibility for anything I do. Yep. I'm just nice. No.
That's a hard thing for people to hear. People get triggered.
It is really hard. And I remember when she told me that, and I was like, no, that's not me. It was him. But no, I was the one that put up with it, so he was just like, okay. That's how she wants to be treated. That's how she treats herself, so why would I not treat her how she wants to treat herself, Yeah. So, yeah, it's not empath is better than the narcissist, and we're not trying to get on here to say that narcissists are the bad ones. Only look out for the narcissist. No, you should look out for empaths too, because they're probably going to put up with a lot of shit that you do that probably, like, if you're trying to learn and grow, you don't want someone to just sit there and be like, I really don't like how they're treating me, but I'm an empath, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. That's just a label anyways, because the whole term empath, the truth is every human being has the capacity to be an empath. We all have the capacity to feel people's emotions, to be compassionate and kind, Narcissists can't do that because they haven't done their work. They haven't done their trauma healing. If they did, they would be the same way as an empath, being able to feel people's emotions. But just like a narcissist is on a spectrum, so is an empath who's a victim. We're trying to be in the middle. We're not trying to be super, to the point where we have no empathy for humans, but we also don't want to be to the point where we're the victim and everything happens to me. No. No, that's not how it is. So if you want real talk, you can come check out my stuff, because I want to give people real advice. I want to give you guys real stuff that's going to make real difference in your life, and so you can actually feel good and heal so that you can have a good life instead of, people trying to just take your money, No offense to therapists and people like that. There are people out there, though, that want to just get money from you so that you'll talk about your problems but never fix them.
Yeah.
You are either going to fix it or you're going to talk about it and never get it fixed. So
yeah, and there's a lot of people out there that, I just lost my train of thought. Hold on 1 second. I was going to say there's a lot of things, and most of the things, the news and movies and all sorts of things, songs, they're all trying to keep you in that victim mentality, because it's way easier to blame something on someone else versus looking at it within. And that's ultimate freedom, is when you know that you are responsible for everything. So then you're more aware of what you do, how you treat people, the people that you hang around, the people you talk to, or like how you talk, how you speak, the words that you allow into your brain. It's very different versus how a lot of things these days, the billboards and everything, programming you to be a victim, so that you're stuck like a sheep, just wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Literally, that's why they call it the zombies, because that's what they want us to be. Yeah, they don't want us to be aware of what's going on.
When you're in fear, you're more controllable, because if you're afraid, someone says, hurry, quick, go do this, and you're going to do it. So I don't want to get off too much of a tangent here, because I know that we can talk for hours, especially about this stuff. But if you guys want to have more content like this, or you want to see Meg back again for another podcast style or an interview style video, then you can let me know in the comments. I appreciate the support. Do smash the like button, because it does help the algorithm, helps us grow. We're trying to push out the message. The whole reason of this YouTube channel is to create a community of people where you can feel safe to express yourself, but also to heal, and just so I can give back in the way that, the things I wanted to receive from people when I was going through a hard time. And so that's what I'm here for.
And also thanks, Jose, for the Women's Day, because it is Women's Day.
Oh, yeah.
National Women's Day.
International Women's Day.
Yeah. Go women, but also
Yes.
go men.
Yes.
Do they have a National Men's Day? Because hopefully, we like our men too.
That's a whole nother topic for another day, but empowerment to everyone. How about that?
Yeah. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got some good insights and good tips. And if you guys do want any other topics, then you guys can message her or a comment, or
I'll
message
put
me,
information in the description.
whatever y'all want to do. But we appreciate the time and effort you guys put into this video. Amen. Just kidding.
Yes. I'll see you guys in next week's video.
Bye. Happy Women's Day to all you women out there.
Good talk.